Hey, what's up? Today we're going to talk about battery testing, and I'm basically going to go over some basic to advanced ways of testing your battery, and I've also got a perfect example of how certain tests can be inaccurate. So what I've got here are a couple of Schumacher battery testers. The one on the left here is BT50, and then this is a Schumacher load tester. This is the BT250. And this BT50 is pretty simple. It's basically just a voltmeter, but what's nice about it, it's got a big display, so that's nice. The other thing I really like about it is it's got your open circuit voltage versus state of charge right there. So as you can see, a state of charge 100% would be 12.6 on your standard SLI battery, which is starting lights and ignition. And a VRLA would be like your AGM battery absorbent glass mat. So we're looking for 1260 if we put a voltmeter on here to indicate 100% state of charge. So let's go ahead and use this and see where the battery's at. Alright, so we're at 1278. So according to this, we're actually at 100% charge. Okay, so there's a couple reasons for this. I always keep the battery on a tender, and I just had the car running a couple hours ago, and that voltage just hasn't relaxed yet down to where it should be at. I'm sure if I was to check this tomorrow morning, that voltage is probably going to be a lot lower. But this is a good example of how, depending on what kind of operation has taken place within a certain amount of time span, how it's going to affect these different readings. So let's go over to the BT250, which also is a voltmeter, but it's also a digital load tester. So we're going to hook that up. And as you can see, pretty similar right there, 1278, 1279. So next thing we're going to do with this tester is do a load test. So according to that voltage, you're like, okay, it's at 1270, practically 1280, getting up there. This is basically a healthy battery. So we're going to get into doing the load test. This particular battery is 595 cold cranking amps, so we're going to adjust this. It's SLI, SAE, got set to 595 CCA, hit the test. Okay, so this indicates that right now this battery is only capable of providing 458 cold cranking amps, which is considered bad. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try starting this car and let you hear, so you can judge for yourself whether this battery is laboring to start the car or not. Alright, so I just did the load test. It's saying that this battery is bad, so I'm going to try starting it up and we'll see what it sounds like. So the battery did start the vehicle, but you did hear it sounded pretty severely labored. Didn't really crank up the way it should. So hopefully this is a good example of how just because you have a good voltage reading does not necessarily mean that that battery is in a healthy condition. And even now I'll show you, we'll put a voltmeter on the battery again and take a look at what it's charging at with the alternator. right about 14.5, which is pretty much where you want to be with the alternator. Pretty much anywhere between like 1350, 1380 up to about 1440, 1480. I mean, that's a pretty acceptable range for the alternator. So the alternator is definitely putting a charge in the battery. So in this case, basically what's going on is this battery has reached the end of its service life. So we're going to move on to, I already got a new battery, so we're going to take a look at that and see what we have to do to get this battery swapped out properly. Alright, so here we have the new replacement battery for the Mustang. The battery that was in the Mustang is a 595 cold cranking amps. This one is actually a little bit higher, it's 610. I'll show you. This battery was made September of 13 and it's November of 13, so give you a look at this real quick. (610) cold cranking amps. Basically what I'm going to do now is we're going to do a voltage test and probably even do a load test on there too. Because a lot of people think that you get a new battery, you just throw it in the car and away you go. Which is partially true, but a lot of these new batteries, in my opinion, the most important charge they're going to get is the first charge you give them before you put it in the vehicle. So let's take a look at that. Coming back to the BT 250. Okay, so we're reading 1264. So according to an open voltage test, you know, that's definitely acceptable. This is considered a fully charged battery. So we're going to do the test. Put this up to 610. And this battery is actually delivering 710 cold cranking amps, so it's definitely healthy. So what I'm going to do next is, you know, I did this in the lighting video I've got posted up there, swapped the battery out in my dad's truck, and kind of the same situation here. I'm going to take my battery maintainer, hook it up, and allow this battery to receive a full charge before I put it on into the Mustang. Pretty simple connection, you know, obviously positive to positive, negative to negative, and just plug it in. As you can see, it's charging the battery. So I'm going to take that BT50 really fast and show you the voltage. And this is kind of a good way to double check that your maintainer is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So let me show you that real quick. Alright, so we're at 1279. Notice how it's slowly going up. We're at 1280. So basically this 1.5 amp maintainer is slowly bringing it up to voltage and putting a charge on this battery. Being 1.5 amps, it could take overnight for this battery to accept a full charge at that low of an amperage. So I'm really not in a rush here. You know, I want this battery properly charged. I'm a big fan of using the lowest amperage you can. 1.5 to me is pretty acceptable. So I'm basically just going to wait until this thing says it's fully charged, and then I'll go ahead and do the battery swap. And then, once again, I'll show you the voltage should have gone up in the time that I've been standing here talking. So we're already up to 1290. And it's going to keep slowly rising. So, okay, that's a good way to verify that your maintainer is doing its job too. You know, some of these maintainers, they don't, you know, they just have a blinking light to indicate that it's charging. You really don't know whether it's doing its job or not. So the best way to verify that is with a voltmeter. You know, put that meter on there. And like I said, I mean, this 1.5 amp, it's gonna raise pretty slowly. So, you know, it's probably gonna take a good 30 seconds of looking at the meter to see that it's steadily increasing. All right, so we did the load test. You heard the vehicle is pretty labored starting up. We know that battery's gone dead. I'm probably going to do another video showing you how to charge a discharge battery with an automatic battery charger, because this is a great scenario. I'm sure the battery in the Mustang, given enough time, it's going to discharge to the level where an automatic charger is not going to charge it. So look for that video coming, and then I'll also post a video of the Mustang starting with a brand new battery. You'll get to hear the difference. Alright, thanks for watching. Alright, here we are. The battery's still on the charger. It's been about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it's still charging. And I just want to take this video to show the voltage of this charging so I can compare it to when it's actually finished. So you're going to see it should be up around over 14. And as you can see, we're at 14.7. So just going to have that for a little comparison. I'm going to show you the voltage reading when this is actually fully charged. And should just float that voltage out a little over 13 volts. So we'll take a look at that when it's fully charged. Alright, so while I was out here checking up on the battery, taking a charge, I want to show you, I'm going to do the load test again. So it's been a little over 2 hours. So just want to do the load test again to show you, once again, this voltage, it's at 1270. Once again, that would make you think, okay, this is a pretty healthy battery going on here. But we'll load test it again, see what happens. Alright, got the 595 cold cranking amps. So there you go, down to 112. And this will probably not even turn the engine over, so let's give that a shot too. Alright, so there you go. The fuel pump was barely running and the car wouldn't even turn over. So I'm really glad this happened. It gave me the perfect opportunity to show you that sometimes just going off a voltage reading is not going to be enough information. It's not going to be accurate enough. So, okay, stay tuned for more videos. Gonna finish up this battery charge and move on from there. So stay tuned.